Social Plug Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? I am Johnny Martinez, and you are plugged into the Social Plug Podcast. And as always, we are powered by Social Plug Media. We always talk about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Welcome to the show. Today, we are at Greenleaf Studios here in New Braunfels, Texas. Today's episode is also sponsored by Greenleaf Health and Wellness. So these guys at Greenleaf Health and Wellness, they're not only awesome, but they're an upscale cannabis boutique and wellness store offering unique, high-quality cannabis products in New Braunfels and the surrounding areas, and it's all legal. They don't sell anything illegal here, do they, J-Rock?
Nope, it's all legal, baby.
So this beautiful man behind the cameras is not only a great engineer, but he's also an outstanding producer.
I'm trying, brother. I'm trying.
Look at that man with the great backdrop behind him.
Having a good time, man. Always a good time here at Greenleaf. And, man, I see you got some Tejas tonic with you right there, John.
Tejas tonic. I haven't opened it up yet, but this green can has a lot of great stuff.
That's right, man.
All right.
Always a good time. You been good, Johnny?
I have been great, man. Today's going to be a great show. It's going to be informative, entertaining, and we're going to have great conversations.
Heck yeah, man.
All right. So I want to introduce this young lady here. She's not only a great friend of mine, but she's also an awesome marketer, because marketing is important today. If you're a small business owner or just an individual, you want to market yourself and brand yourself. Marketing is so important. So she's a guru at that. She's a difference maker in the community. She's a community leader. You can't call yourself a community leader if you're not out in the community helping people. So she does a great job on that. She not only helps people, but she educates people on real estate stuff and on how to just become better, all right, in everything that you do. She's a great resource of information, and she's a jack of a lot of trades and master of a lot. Cindy Wild, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, J-Rock, Johnny.
Yeah,
Excited to be here.
It's our pleasure. So we've been doing a lot of hanging out together, and you influence a lot of people. You influence me as well. You're a champion of resources. So that's why we keep you around, Cindy.
I try. I mean, I have my moments, but no, I really, it makes my heart happy to do those things.
Yeah.
And I feel very humbled listening. I'm like, who's he talking about there?
He's not talking about me. I'll tell you that right now.
Hey, I feel pretty good about myself right now. Thank you. That's very, very nice of you to say, John.
Thank you. So before the show, we were talking about what J-Rock had going on over the week. Mm-hmm. And he said he was watching a movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Is that right?
That was last night, man. It was an awesome movie. But and it was like, it brings my childhood back. But, bro, like, I'm a kid at heart all the time. So, yeah, to hear that Seth Rogen took on this piece. And, John Cena, one of my favorite, wrestlers in there. And, Paul Rudd. And they made a really good movie out of it. And all the Turtles got great personalities. They got some young stars in there. So it was good. I enjoyed it.
All right, so help me refresh my memory here. You had Michelangelo, Leonardo,
Raphael, and Donatello.
And which one was Paul Rudd?
Paul Rudd was actually a lizard. He was a different. It wasn't like I don't know if there's. I'm not too familiar with the other old characters. If there was even
Master Splinter. What happened to that guy?
Master Splinter was in there. Yeah, he was in there. What is his name? Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan was Master Splinter?
Master Splinter, yeah.
Wow.
Dude, it's hilarious, man. You got to go watch it.
It's interesting. They redo these movies from when, we were younger, Johnny. I mean, J-Rock, you're a little bit younger than us, but you think they're not going to do a good job with them, and then they do.
They do, yeah.
Like the Karate Kid. I'm like, oh, come on. We're going to redo this? How can you redo it? But then they did a really good job. I'm like, oh, that was amazing.
Yeah. Cindy, I have socks older than J-Rock. All right. Well, they have holes, and they're about to fall apart. But yes. So these movies, they're doing a lot of remakes. Is Hollywood kind of
they ran out of ideas?
They're running out of ideas. Like, what is going on? Everything's a remake. Everything's a Marvel remake. Everything is something that's outlandish. I remember the old school movies, Goodfellas, Psycho, Jaws.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of movies that I like. National Lampoon's Vacation.
You just gave all these directors some ideas to bring those back now.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on today, but I don't go to the movies as much. Barbie. I mean, it just doesn't seem appealing to me.
No.
All right, Cindy, have you watched Barbie yet?
No, it's not really on my radar. I mean, I'm sure it's perfectly fine. It's just, I don't know. I don't go to the movies that often. We stay pretty busy on the weekends, right? But we did make time. We, as a family, packed up our truck, and we had like almost like a mattress in the back of the bed. And so as a family, we went to go see Haunted Mansion, which is a remake.
Another remake.
Another
Is
remake.
that with Eddie Murphy?
Well, the old one.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know who's in the new one.
Wait, Eddie Murphy's in the old one?
Yes.
Or the first one? I had no idea. Okay.
And so this one, I don't even know who's in it. And I mean, the movie starts at 9, like right at after sundown. So I fell asleep with my grandson, but it was a wonderful experience just to drive in here. It's a good family thing to do.
How cool is that? Bringing a mattress and putting it in the back of your truck and just.
There you go.
Yeah, they're like these. It's like a couch that can convert to like a chair. It's called a nugget, and so we had them and we laid them.
Where was that when I was sleeping in my car?
Yeah, see, you could have put a mattress in your car.
I could have put a mattress in my car the whole time.
Nugget in the back.
Man, I could have been saving rent
it
money.
was actually there was a nice breeze. It was good. It's a good family thing to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I hope they don't take that down. I heard that they might be shutting that down because I heard the property's for sale.
Dude, a lot of.
Yeah,
so they had one in San Antonio as well. They shut that one down. Maybe they brought it back. The Mission Drive-In.
Oh, I remember that. So you are similar in our background. You're from the South Side. That's where my roots are too.
I'm from the hood. All right.
I'm south of the hood.
So you're even more hood than I was.
I was country hood.
Country hood. Is that a term? Is that like country grammar?
Is that like Nelly?
Like Nelly?
Like Nelly country grammar?
Yeah. You remember that song?
It's on my workout playlist.
Oh, dang. There you go. Get it. Yeah, I was across the street from the old Mission, I think I was. Sunday, we went and had some Mexican food across the street there.
Yeah,
if you say the name, I'll remember it. Oh, man.
Like Chella's?
Yes. Was it Chella's?
Something like that.
Something, yeah. So it was really good, though. But yeah, my buddy's like, we were looking at, they're doing something out there.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're remaking it, but they're doing something out there.
The south side of San Antonio is blowing up. So San Antonio used to be like a big horseshoe. It was shaped in a horseshoe. The bottom was just empty. But now San Antonio is growing. A lot of real estate opening up down there.
Right.
A lot of new communities, a lot of new businesses. And I hear a lot of rumors on Top Golf and all kinds of stuff. Who knows what's going to happen? All right. But San Antonio and this entire corridor, the 35 corridor going from the south of San Antonio all the way up to Austin, is definitely increasing its population and its business.
Y'all get to see that firsthand for the industry that you're in.
So there used to be a gap between San Antonio and New Braunfels. Like there was country rolling hills, and now it's all filled in. There's no gaps between San Antonio and New Braunfels and New Braunfels to Austin. It's just
it's going to be Austintonio here in about 15 years. Kind of like Dallas Fort Worth.
New Austintonio. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
New Austintonio.
So Cindy, I know you go to the movies with your mattress and things like that. Hey, I'm going to do that. Maybe this weekend.
It's so fun.
I told you we're going to have fun on the show, right?
It's a lot of fun. We had a blast.
But when I introduced you, I gave you a lot of different titles. You have so many things that you do, and you're just not a one-trick pony. You don't do just one thing. And I'm a believer in today's influential society. You got to be able to do a lot of different things. You have to be like a Swiss Army knife, where you can be this person and you can be that person. You got to be a chameleon, and you got to be able to fit in your surroundings.
You took the words from my mouth. So a chameleon is one of my special talents, God-given talents. So you need to be what your client needs, whatever that is, right? So you listen to what their needs are, and you fill that gap. And yeah, absolutely. I agree with that statement.
So you work for a title company.
I do. That's what pays the bills. So in essence, what you were just talking about, what I do is I build relationships. And some of those relationships, most of them are with real estate people, right? Realtors, lenders, but really just relationships in the community like that. You may not see, it's just getting your name out there and, learning who's who in this community, like the movers and shakers. And it may not benefit you directly for business, but I don't do things for money or for contracts or for commissions. It's really important to know who's out there, who's doing the things, meeting J-Rock and meeting, the mans that own this business. It's great to know them. You know who to call.
Big shout out to Michael and Yvonne, man. They are incredible people.
They are. And so like the first thing when you think of this type of industry, who's going to come to mind? right?
Mhm.
So that's why that relationship building is so important.
So relationships, and we all, as business leaders and influencers, we always want to build that prime relationship with key people. How long have you been building relationships? And did you just start this 15, 20 years ago, or have you been building relationships your entire life? What point in your life did you figure, man, I need to start building relationships?
Well, longer than I realized, to answer your question. So I've been in this industry for about 8 years, and then I was an insurance agent for 20 years before that. So when I was in my small town, I guess the relationships, networking didn't really matter so much in my small town, just because, we were probably the only insurance agency in town, so it didn't matter who you networked with. So it wasn't until I joined a board of directors. This has probably been 20 years ago. I was pretty young. And I ended up being the board president. So my job on this board it was a nonprofit health center.
Mm-hmm.
So my job was to find out who could help fund the health center. That was just something I volunteered to do. I kind of fell into it. So there's actually more to it than that. And I'll be brief when I say that. So I was a poor single mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my son, Zachary, was on Medicaid. And I felt so guilty for having him on Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
I actually hated it. But I couldn't afford health insurance. I didn't have any. And so I went to this free health center or health center that took Medicaid and, used all their programs. And his nurse practitioner was just like, you should be on the board. And so I felt like that was my way of paying back using Medicaid. Like
Right.
I just, I didn't want to be on that forever. So anyway, so I served on the board, ended up doing that for over 10 years, became the board president, and we lobbied for funds. Like, yes, the government funded it,
Mm-hmm.
but also we would go to like the Baptist health centers, Baptist ministries or the Methodist ministries. Like they would
Mm-hmm.
give us grants to fund like dental and all of those things. And I ended up going to Washington, D.C., probably 4 or 5 times, lobbying to our state representative to fund our health center. So that's when I learned network. It's like, it's who you know, it's the connections you make,
Mm-hmm.
it's the heart you put behind what you're doing, where people will choose you and say, yes, we're going to grant you these funds, or yes, I'm going to work with you as a realtor title company. It all is the same skill set applied differently.
So you went to DC to lobby. Now let's put this into perspective. So you're in there sitting with a bunch of dignitaries and a bunch of people who make laws and
That's
put laws into effect. And you're there, just a little person.
I'm 20 something years old. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm like, and they're like, here's your state representative. And I'm so upset. I don't remember his name. But yeah, I was sitting in his office. There's like the American flag and the Texas flag.
Right.
This is in our government offices in Washington, D.C.
It's intimidating.
Very much so. But I felt so passionately about funding this health center because I saw how it benefited me in the community. I was just like, this is so important to have. Like, people don't have access to healthcare.
Right.
And we didn't have dental, anybody that would take Medicaid dental, or towards the end of my tenure on the board, we had signed off to build a new health center, to add mental health services, and expand it into Live Oak County, which is south,
Mm-hmm.
way south, and then Wilson County and Karnes County, just really underserved communities. So, that's something I don't think I've ever talked about since I moved to New Braunfels. But yeah, that's how I got started in understanding what networking is and building relationships, and the importance of, as I mentioned, who you know and the heart you put behind what you do.
Right.
And people feel it, they hear it, and they're just like, yes, I want to help you. So we were granted millions of dollars by us lobbying to our state representative, grant writing to petition for these funds. But it really, it's an interesting chapter of my life.
Absolutely. So your lobbying efforts
Mm-hmm.
helped tons of families.
Yes.
And you said you were a poor single mother.
Yes.
Right. So what gave you the desire or the fire to do this? What was a difference maker in your life that you like, man, I want to go do this and make a difference in others' lives?
Well, it started off feeling guilty that I felt like taking advantage of Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't love, and it's no disrespect to people that have no other choice but to be on it. Like, I understand it's just part of how, some situations are. But for me, it's just like, I knew I didn't want that long term.
Right.
I knew some things weren't available to me and my son because he was on Medicaid. And I'm just like, first of all, I want to make sure as many people are getting help as they need. And, that just because you are Medicaid, you were not getting quality care. I felt like everybody should be treated well and have access to what they need. And so that's what drove me to do that. But yeah, it was an important lesson learned early on. And then fast forward to, I don't live in my little small town of Pleasanton anymore. And now I live in New Braunfels.
So Pleasanton, let's put this into perspective. It's about 40, no, not even 40, like 20 miles outside of San Antonio. And it's a small, very small town. If you blink, you pass it by.
Right.
There might be a couple of cows, chickens, and some pigs there.
Those are my cows and chickens, man.
Yeah.
So and actually didn't even live
and a Dairy Queen.
Yes. Hey, that was my first
Is there a stoplight there?
I told you, right? There's a Dairy Queen over there. Yeah.
So are you an expert at making the blizzard?
10 o'clock, 2 o'clock. No, the blizzard, yes. Turn it upside down. But I did the little cone with the little thing at the top. Yeah, that was my first paying job, like legit job. Like I've been working since I was 13. But yes, so I worked at Dairy Queen. Pleasanton, it has a couple of stoplights, but it's a small town. I didn't even live in Pleasanton.
It is growing though. I've gone there recently and it's growing.
Yeah. I didn't even live in Pleasanton though. I grew up on acreage outside of Pleasanton. So I'm like country girl on my bicycle, barefoot with my slingshot, like tomboy. I fed the chickens, milked the goats. Yes. Took care of all the animals. That was me. So you would not think now that I would do, but yeah.
You're milking the goats?
Yes.
Everything. Right?
Yes.
J-Rock, you ever met the cow?
Yes, I have. There was this, and y'all might know this. I don't remember where exactly. It might even be on the way to Seguin. There used to be a place where they make ice cream and like, I remember making ice cream in there.
A dairy farm.
Yeah, it was like a dairy farm.
That was our field trip. Those were our field trips. They would take us to the dairy farm and then you would milk the cow and then get ice cream at the end. It was just, anyway.
That's
but
hilarious.
Yeah, so that's my background. Small town. And so within that, there wasn't a lot of opportunity to move up in my town, right? So unless you had a certain last name, you were not anybody, right? And I was, people made sure I knew. And
what do you mean by that though?
We were poor. We were poor and we didn't have any influence. It's just old, there's a class system. And whether people would admit it or not, it was just a small town and sometimes small minds. I'm not saying everybody was like that, but I definitely was made to know that I was a nobody. And if you weren't like, let's just say somebody knew like the chamber. I was not part of the chamber in my hometown because it was only certain people. And if somebody tried to join, they were like, oh, Miss Thing thinks she's somebody. Like it was a class
Did that
system.
motivate you or discourage you?
It was discouraging then because I didn't know better, right? It was just like, it motivated in some ways in that, like, I knew I didn't want to be poor. I knew I didn't want to keep my son on Medicaid. I knew those things. So I worked hard. I had a good job. I did. I was an insurance agent, right? I bought my own house on my own, single mom. I had my own car. It was paid off. I had a cool car too. It's a Ford Mustang. It's beautiful.
Ford Mustang. Was it a 5.0?
It was cute.
Remember that on Vanilla Ice?
Vanilla Ice, yeah. I was just saying, Johnny.
So my hair can blow. Is that some of his lyrics?
No. But I mean, I had for my town, I was doing really well. So I was just kind of like, yeah, I made it. I'm doing good. And I met my husband when I lived over there, and he's from California, Orange County. Very nice part of the country. His town particularly is really nice. And he moved here for me. And he was just like,
moved here for you.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Yeah. I'm sure you are.
Hey, she's like, hey.
You're kind of a big deal, Cindy.
Oh, stop.
Does your husband ride a motorcycle by chance?
He does.
Okay, look.
That might be my son.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not trying to be cliche, but when I say your husband, I always feel like he's from California and he rides a motorcycle.
He does.
And I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he has a Harley. He has an old car, a 42, and everybody. Anyway, so I met my husband. Well, he wasn't my husband, so I met him on eHarmony. That used to be a thing, J-Rock. I know you don't know about that. It's like the Tinder of back then.
Well, J-Rock bring that back, so I'm trying to find somebody.
So anyway, I met my husband and we dated and we're like, okay, let's, he was was not happy where he was at. And so he moved to Pleasanton. He's like, I'm going to give it a year. He told me ahead of time, yeah, I'm going to live with you. We'll give it a year. He found a good job. And so, he's like, eventually, if this works, we'll buy a, nicer, bigger house and all the things. And he gave it the year and he's like, this town sucks. And I was just like, wait,
but he waited a whole year to say it sucked?
No, he gave it the year. Like he said he was going to give it a year.
Gave it a chance.
He gave it a chance. And he was just like, you need to move with me, like back to California. Like this Pleasanton is not where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
But it being the only thing I knew, like that mentality, that mind, it's just so chiseled into your brain. Like, this is where I was born, raised, and I'll die. Because that's what everybody does. Nobody breaks out of it, right?
So did you have that small town mentality?
I did. I was just like, rude, this is my town.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you mean it sucks?
Mm-hmm.
And he started taking me with him, like traveling, visiting I went to California and I saw how amazing it was and how beautiful the weather. And we just started traveling and I was just like, well, maybe. So I started looking for another job. Keep in mind, I was an insurance agent. I was on my like 13th or 14th year. And I started looking for other jobs. It's like, well, I don't want to quit until I have something in place. Well, they found out I was looking and they fired me.
Oh, man.
I know. And they were like, you're not loyal. And I'm just like, I've been here for 14 years. Wait, what?
Oh, man, that sucks.
I know.
How did that make you feel knowing that a company just talked,
That's so interesting. Like you think your world is over. And in hindsight, best thing that ever happened to me, because I would have never landed in New Braunfels had it not been for getting fired, because I didn't have the guts to do it. I was thinking about it, but I just couldn't make the jump. And so, I was all hurt, after getting fired, and
you felt disrespected.
I did. I was just like, man, I worked so hard for you, and I was a good employee. It really stung because they were like family, right? And so I happened to run into my old bosses like last year or the year before down in Port Aransas of all places. And I thanked them. I was just like, I am so thankful for the opportunity you guys gave me. They taught me how to be the best insurance agent ever. Like I learned a lot. I was the best in my industry, even here. So when I left Pleasanton, I came to New Braunfels. I became an insurance agent again here locally. I even won like best insurance agent in New Braunfels in 2015. I know.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Interesting story on that one. So yeah, we'll have to catch up on that part, but that's kind of a funny story. So I won best insurance agent. So by year 2015, I was on my 19th year of being an insurance agent.
Let me ask you this real quick. When you saw your boss, did you want your old boss? Did you want to say screw you? No part of you wanted to say that.
No. Caught me. If you would have caught me 10 years prior, I was like, listen, Linda, you don't know who you were. But no, I am, now the Cindy of today is like, even in the bad things, there's something to be learned, right?
They made you better.
They did. So I look back with, I'm thankful. I learned everything I did. It was a stepping stool to the next big step, and I didn't have the guts to make it, and they forced me into it. So,
how many people have that mentality where they're stuck because they're satisfied and they're scared, they're fearful of the unknown?
Right.
So many people that I know, no, I'm good. I'm getting paid what I'm worth or whatever, and Did J-Rock say?
Yeah, man. Yeah,
okay.
I was like that. I was scared.
But there's so many people, and in my family and people that I know, I'm like, dude, like people that I talk to, like at restaurants, and they're great at customer service, great people, great smiles and everything. And I say, hey, man, have you thought about doing something else? No, man, I'm good. I don't think I'm good enough, or I don't think I'm ready to leave, or what. I'm like, dude, you got so much potential.
Yeah, the problem is they want it, like I did back then, they want the plan from start to finish on what's going to happen next. But that's not how things really happen in the real world. Like you don't have all the answers laid out for you. You don't have the next safe stepping stone. You just have to jump. Steve Harvey has this it's on YouTube. Like he was on his Family Feud show, and I saw that about 10 years ago, and it really resonated with me, and the whole theme of his little speech is jump. Jump before you even think you're ready. God hasn't failed us yet. We've always landed on our feet. And so you want to have it all laid out and make the safe jump. And that's not where opportunity and growth is. It's in jumping not knowing where the next step, but having faith that God will have your back because He's had thus far, right?
Yep.
And we get so like I said, it's fear that imprisons us. And so fear was kept me in my small town mind, my small house, in all the things. And so anyway, I got fired and so landed in New Braunfels.
Was that having to do anything with your family staying small town mentality or no?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like they were like stay or anything, but everybody was there. Like, why would I leave? My mom was there, my sister, my brother, everybody that's important to me was there. Yeah, so why would I leave it, right? Yeah. But New Braunfels is an hour away, but it might as well be a world away for the way my mindset was. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I thought going to San Antonio was one of the best things ever when I was young. Yeah. And I think another thing is like people get caught up in that because of the way I love my parents to death. I'm not gonna. I don't. There's no excuses on what, like, I hate when people say, well, my mom, my dad held me back. No, it was you have all the reasons and all the opportunity to do whatever it is you want to do in life if you really want to work on it. So I love my parents for this, but they didn't tell me I had to do anything. Hey, graduate from high school and do whatever you want, get a job. That was just the mentality they had, just trying to make it work, nobody knows how to make it work. You just figure it out.
Like, I don't know what their background is or not, but like for you graduating high school, that was probably a big thing. Like, good job, mijo.
Exactly.
You're good.
Exactly.
And for me, same. Like, nobody was like, you have to go to college because nobody in our family had attended college, right? And I actually had a scholarship to attend, and I was just like, I'm burnt out on school. So I let the scholarship go. It's like, and for a long time, I'm like, is that why I'm poor?
Yeah.
And it's not.
So you're absolutely right. You and Steve Harvey are on point. You got to jump. People are afraid to take a next step. They fear the unknown. And I've seen so many people stay stagnant in their life. And these people, they're 18, 19 years old. And then when they're in their 40s, they regret everything. And people that stay small-minded like that, they don't ever build these intangibles, confidence, leadership ability, all these different things that leaders have, all these different things that influencers have, because they're not able to hone their skills on a bigger scale. Right. They're staying small. And I have people in my family and in my network back, my high school network, that are in that predicament. And they see me doing I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm just doing things that I've learned along the way to do a podcast, own a business, join the military, do all these different things. And I'm just an average guy.
Right.
But I've built a lot of skills along the way that helped other people. Sure. And it's my goal and passion in life to help people grow as well. And I think that you are definitely on that path. I'm following you.
Oh, thank you.
You're definitely ahead of the curve on a lot of people our age. There's people that are just staying stagnant and playing the blame game, the victim game. And it's unfortunate that I see these things going on. But there's a ton of opportunities for people to get out of Pleasanton, get out of small town, San Antonio, whatever, New Braunfels, wherever it may be. So many opportunities, but people are afraid to take it.
They are. Fear is definitely a prison that a lot of people live in. And, that's what courage is. It's courage doing it, not that I know I'm going to land on my feet. It's just like pushing forward anyway. That's really what courage is. Not knowing it all and having the plan laid out for you, like we mentioned. And, your biography, your story doesn't have to dictate your future. So even though born in a small town, even though born in a poor family, I knew for fact that that's not how I want my story to end.
Right.
And so, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing and expecting a different result. I want to hit the lottery. It's like $1 billion right now, but the chances are really slim. So I'm trying to do the things that'll break me out of those molds. And, sometimes it's scary. The future is uncertain. We're making big strides in our family trying to, as I mentioned, break away from the things that we were and grow mentally and emotionally and financially. And it can be scary at times, but we're still pushing forward and doing the things.
We're going to talk about family and relationships.
Let's do it.
Talk to me, Cindy.
Family. So my immediate family, I am so incredibly blessed. So I'm married to my husband, Brian. We've been together since, well, we met in '07, dated, decided we hated each other for a whole year, for a whole year. And then in 2009, we got together. We've been together since. We got married in, oh gosh,
Uh-oh.
I know. Ugh. 2017. I know. He knows. Anyway, we got married in 2017. So we have 4 kids, 4 sons between us. So he has 2 sons, Andrew and Dylan. But they're my sons.
They're your boys.
They were born here. They were born here. I love them very, very much. So Andrew's 30, Dylan's 26. My son Zachary, from previous relationship, is 20. He's about to be 24. And then surprise, we had Thomas together, who is 11.
Thomas, that guy, he's amazing.
He's 11 going on 21.
Oh man.
He's a pill. Well, he's only around adults, so sometimes he's a little too much. I mean, it was cute when he was like 6, and now it's just like, oh geez, we have our hands full with him. But it, if it wasn't for him, I just don't know that Brian and I, our relationship had actually kind of fizzled out, and we had gone our separate ways. Actually, and then Thomas came into the picture, and so we're like, okay, all right, let's make this.
He sealed the deal.
He sealed the deal, and I love our family dynamics because yes, Zachary has his father, but he lives in another town, and for the most, it's just we're a family unit, always together. If you follow me on social media, if you see us out and about, we're always together. And I love that
dynamic. You guys are all leaders. You guys are all influencers in your own way. So we had your son, Dylan Wild.
We did.
On the podcast, episode 2. You guys need to check that out if you have not checked that out. So Dylan, it's going to be about 1 year coming up that he had this near fatal car accident. So he got to tell a story. He was going down I-35 and he collided with a couple of 18-wheelers and it almost took his life.
Right.
But he was so resilient and so courageous that he didn't let that stop him. He lost a limb. He lost his left leg.
Yes. So exactly that. I got that fateful call in the middle of the night. It's the call you never want to get. And I was sound asleep. And I had to be told, I kept asking for clarification, am I hearing right? So, she was her tone, she had that tone where I wasn't sure if he was going to live. And again, the call no parent wants to get. And she was just like, you need to come to Seton in Austin. And she was like, it's serious, get here as soon as possible. So yes, he lost his left leg. He has no recollection of the accident, so we don't know exactly what happened. But yes, what we think is an 18-wheeler got in his lane and he tried to avoid them, and basically it took out the entire driver's side of the truck, and he was driving a Tundra. So I mean, it was just
it was a mangled piece of just metal. It was just mangled. It was
horrible. He's a miracle that he's still here, but he did lose his left leg. He almost lost his arm, but by the miracle that the doctors are just so amazing, they put it back together. He has no nerve damage, but he lost a kidney, liver laceration, broken hip. His other foot was broken. Also, there's plates and screws in there, and then just contusions, but no, neck, back, or brain injuries, which is a miracle in and of itself. So, yes, August 7th is the 1-year anniversary. His survive day is coming up soon. And it happened to Dylan, but really those kinds of things happen to the whole family. It was scary. You go into survival mode, just trying to be there. He's fighting for his life, and it takes you to a whole other place to see your child hooked up to a respirator, and he was in an induced coma for the first 4 or 5 days, and that it rocks your world.
It changed you, and it changed your entire family, and it changed your perspective on Dylan, probably. Because you guys always knew he was a badass, right?
I did.
And now you're like, this dude is like beyond that. Because he kind of like shunned it off, like, I got this.
No, he's like, well, I didn't have a choice. What am I supposed to do? And I'm like,
I saw them in the family this past weekend at the UFC, and I shake his hand. He's sitting like from this angle, and he almost pulled me down. That's how strong.
Yeah. Well, okay, so that's something,
he's still a strong guy,
himself, and you have to watch episode 2 to know his story. That's I hope we have him back because his story is not over. Like he's an amazing individual, but he already had built that muscle of discipline that he wanted to break out from the mold. I said it earlier, your biography is not your destiny. And he had already decided for himself that, this isn't the life he wanted to live. So he wanted to break out of that and do something better. So he was already looking for that path, not knowing, but just trying everything. But one thing he did consistently was go to the gym. And honestly, that saved his life. That's what they told us in the hospital. Him being so physically fit, somebody maybe in worse health or not as healthy, not as strong would have survived that accident.
Right.
And because, he lost probably, so that accident happened August, by that October, which is not far, like 2.5 months, he had lost like 40 to 50 pounds of just pure muscle. And they say when your body is healing that it feeds on that muscle. And if you don't have the muscle, well, what does it feed on? They said your brain, actually.
Right.
That it takes all of crazy?
So your brain starts deteriorating a little bit, and you start losing memory and losing all kinds of muscle memory.
Happens so quickly. Like, like I said, he lost about 50 pounds just because he was laid up in a bed, not walking or anything like that. So that definitely rocked our family. And, thank goodness that I work for an amazing company that allowed me the opportunity to take FMLA and be home and be there for him. Yeah, that was such a blessing. And so it was his older brother, Andrew, and myself, along with some few other family members along the way. But we were just home because I couldn't lift him up and put him in the car or, go to the appointments. He did a lot of lifting himself with his one good arm and his other leg was in a cast, the one that was left. It was just, it's insane. We actually, all of the emotions and feelings that we went through, we're still dealing with, like those. It's the trauma of it all. And, just knowing you and your family, Johnny, like what you guys have been through with Celeste, like when something happens to one family member, it affects everybody.
And what helps us heal is the support, the amazing support system that we had, the amazing support system that you had, that increases the chances of you getting not past it, but coping with it.
Right.
And he inspired you, you inspired him, and we all did it together.
That's interesting note because, so as I mentioned, so he was in the gym before his accident, got back to the gym as soon as he could, even in crutches without his prosthetic, he was going to the gym. And I was just one of those people, like a lot of people, like, I should go to the gym. I want to lose weight. I want to, but my shoulds were not musts, right? It was just like I had good intentions, but never did anything consistently, really. And so I started hitting the gym in January. And again, I turned I should go to a must. Now, if I don't go, I feel weird. I'm down probably, I think, like 43 pounds since January. And while I'm not at my health goal at all, it's changed something in my brain that, it really, they talk about exercise being good. It makes the endorphins and all the things. Like, I totally get it. Like I said, I feel off if I don't go. And I love it. I've learned to love that. And it builds them not only like muscle and, tones you and all the things, but it builds a muscle inside your brain, like delayed gratification. Like, what I'm doing today is small and I cannot see the difference at the end of today. But over time, and that same thing, that delayed gratification, the consistency, it applies to everything, every walk of life. So if you're going to be in real estate, if you're going to be a realtor, it's like, well, these things that I'm doing today, these calls that I'm making, my database that I'm building, my cards that I handed out, it doesn't maybe make a difference today, but done consistently over time, that's what makes the difference. And people all too often, they go to you're not going to go to the gym once and lose 10 pounds.
Right.
No, you're going to do it day after day, even when you don't feel like it, when it's hard, when you're tired, when you're not in the mood, but you do it anyway. And that's where it's just changed something in me that I'm so thankful to Dylan about. And so, yeah, I can't wait to see my hot mom bod. Not there yet, but working towards it.
So you said something earlier, and we're going to mention Steve Harvey again. Steve Harvey had the mentality. He said it a couple of times because I watch a lot of different clips and things like that. Steve Harvey said, change your mentality to, I get to go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I get to get out and do these things. Not I must or I have to or I don't want to. I get to. So Dylan motivated you, and you've lost 43 pounds.
Recently. Right.
So we talk about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. That's extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes losing 5 pounds is a haul. But 43. But okay, let's just talk. We're going to get a little deep in this. All right.
Yeah.
We talked about this before the show. So you showed me some photos earlier, Cindy.
I did.
All right. And these, I don't know when the timeline was, but you were over.
I was over 300 pounds at my heaviest. I really didn't get on the scale. I would say in the 330 range.
Okay.
And it wasn't that long ago. So Thomas was probably like 3 or 4. So he's 11 now. So it was like 6 or 7 years ago.
So it was unhealthy.
Oh, yeah. But also my mindset was unhealthy too.
Mm-hmm.
My exterior was a reflection of what was going on.
Those two got to be in unison.
They do.
Right. So tell us about that and what helped you get over that hump and be motivated to change your life.
Well, a couple things. So I lost my dad. He was 48 when he died. So he had a massive heart attack, and that just, rocked my world. He was everything to everybody, and it changed me forever. And I'm getting closer to that age, right? So I'm just like, I can't die right now.
Mm-hmm.
My kids need me. I feel like the prime of my life right now. And then my sister died in 2016. She was 43. She had kidney failure, and she was diabetic, but ever since her childhood. And diabetes wrecks your body.
Mm-hmm.
Every system, it affects every system. And so I went to the doctor and I had blood work done, and they were like, you're pre-diabetic. And to me, that was like a death sentence. And it was just like, okay.
You had all kinds of things going through your mind, right?
Right. And so, yes, I lost some weight, but not enough. And I was kind of back and forth with this same 30 pounds. When the year I turned 40, when was that? In 2018. Yeah, I turned 40. And I was just like, I need to drop this weight. And I did. I dropped about 30 pounds. And then over the last couple years, I put them back on. And just through, COVID was not nice to me. I put on a lot of weight then. And it was just kind of, you get complacent, right? And again, I'm still not at my goal. I have a lot of weight to lose still, but if you have to start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, Dylan did inspire me to, he talks so much shit too. He's just like, I have one leg and I'm at the gym. And I'm just like, oh, fine. Yeah. And every morning.
You kind of need that little competition because it kind of motivates you. It puts a fire on your ass to get in the gym and say, you know what, you kind of want to prove him wrong a little bit, but he's also trying to help you.
He is. He does help me. He texts me every morning.
I need him to text me and tell me
we'll
to get my ass in the gym.
Text if you want. But yeah, no, he texts me every morning. He's like, sometimes it's just like, wake up. And then sometimes it's like, hey, don't be a bum. Get out of bed. And I'm like, oh, man. So yeah, it does work. And I text him the same way. But yes, so he's been through a lot. I couldn't be prouder of him. I couldn't be proud of our entire family, actually, though, the way we've come together. And actually, I wasn't going to even talk about this, but we all have the same tattoo, and it's a wolf. And we're a wolf pack. And it means loyalty, having each other's back, being there for each other is what it signifies. My husband has it. Dylan has it. I have it. My other sons are going to get it too.
And it signifies leadership. You're a leader and Dylan's a leader.
Yeah.
All right. I know you're a little humble, but no, you are a leader.
Thank you.
Cindy, you are a community leader and you influence so many people. And I've said it 100 times. I tell you all the time. You influence me. You help change others. And people flock to you.
Thank you.
When they see you in a room, Cindy, they're like, man, I want to be like Cindy. We talked about this. There's people that really want you to speak to them and change their day.
That's so humbling because, I'm still a little girl from Pleasanton, but, I feel like when you, I pray over my business and my life and my relationships constantly, and I'm always looking to connect genuinely. I'm not chasing after a contract, commission, or anything like that. I operate with genuine intentions. So, when you marry what's in here with what's up here, I think that attracts people. It brings people in.
Right.
I'm very much a big believer of the law of attraction. That was a life-changing thing. When I read that book, The Law of Attraction, it really made things click. And it's like all of these things are not by happenstance. That's the law working in effect. It's God blessing my business because I really want the best for people.
Right. Now let's go back to the leadership piece that I talked about. It takes leadership to say and hold yourself accountable because you lost a lot of weight.
I did.
And you had to hold yourself accountable when you're driving to work, when you're looking in the mirror, all these different things. I think we all kind of do it. We all have this image that we need to uphold. At what point did you say, man, enough is enough? I need to live as long as I can to provide for Thomas, for Brian, for the community. These people are looking up to me and they depend on me to be at my best.
So yeah, I started ADD. Sorry, I started talking about it and I didn't finish. So yes, my father died super young, massive heart attack. My sister died at 43 of kidney failure. And so I was just like, I cannot go down this road. So, again, had lost some weight, but obviously not at my goal. And then, I'm hitting the gym as of January this year and down 43 pounds. And, I'm not stopping. I'm going to keep pushing forward. And I want to be a good example I'm going to be an old lady and be there for my kids.
Old is it's just a perception.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to be the funnest old lady
Seasoned,
ever.
veteran, what else?
I don't know.
Wise, sophisticated. There's all kinds of other words. One of my biggest fears, Cindy, is getting old.
Yeah.
And becoming irrelevant.
Right.
Where people just forget about you.
Right.
That is one of my biggest
There are
fears.
some old people that are our age, Johnny, that they just go to work. They're not making an impact anywhere. Right. They're complacent with where they're at and they're just gonna, for lack of better words, like rot in their job, do their 9 to 5, go home, and they don't have anything to look forward to. And to me, that's a death sentence that you're living now. Like, I cannot imagine it. You always, where there's no progress, there's no hope. So I'm always like, okay, let's work towards getting healthier. Let's work towards, being better financially, emotionally. Like, there has to be growth in all of these facets of your life in order to, that's what success is when there's progress in all of those areas, right?
So success isn't always monetary. It's not always how much money you make, and it shouldn't be that way.
I always say, if you do good work, money is a side effect of that. And when I mean good work, it's like serving others, getting people to, I think that's actually, Zig Ziglar says, like, if you help enough people get what they want, like, you'll be successful.
Right.
I'm paraphrasing, but that's the gist of it. Like, serve others with genuine intentions. And, I'm a firm believer that God has blessed my business tenfold. Little old me from not that long ago, I would say 2018, 2019, I wrote a financial goal for myself. Because, the money's great, but, that's not my driving force. But you can't grow what you don't measure, right? So you have to put a monetary amount on. So I do have financial goals, and I wrote that down on my vision board, and I still have that vision board. I love looking back on it. And I wrote this number. And it was such a small number, but I was I was totally motivated to get there. And now I look back at it and I'm like, I've done that about 3 times over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so interesting that my mentality shifted so much recently. And I was, we were just talking to J-Rock about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so much can happen in just a short amount of time, depending on who you surround yourself with.
Right.
And what you expose yourself to. And I'm all about listening to the podcasts. And, I went to one of the pivotal moments, I would say, was attending a Tony Robbins event.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Unleash the Power Within in 2019, in July of 2019, and it really was an eye-opener. I was so silly. I'm like, I want to grow my business. That's why I'm going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And here I thought I was going to learn business tools and tips, and it's all about you.
Yep. Life stuff.
I learned about me, and it really just opened my eyes to like, okay, you can maybe grow your business if you make more calls and you do more things, but you have to change your mindset and your emotional health, and the state of your emotions is the state of the quality of your life. Yeah. Bottom line.
It's absolutely true.
There's a lot of people that I come across that they have no idea that they are a brand. To me, everybody's a brand.
Right.
And you said it earlier, your mindset, the words you speak, the way you present yourself, the way you dress, the way you act, the way you respond to people, that's your brand. And that's what people know you as. You can build your brand really, really great, or you can build a low budget brand.
Right.
But people don't really understand that. And I tell my kids, make sure when you go out, you say hi to everybody. Right. Make sure that you are making eye contact. Walk in a room with confidence. Don't walk in there with your head down, because that is your brand.
Right.
And brand isn't always business, but when they see you, they see me, they see J-Rock and others, that's our personal brand. And I talk about that all the time. You got to make sure your personal brand has value. You always want to make sure you're credible and you're a great resource,
right,
as well. So there is so many ways that I can branch out on that topic.
Yeah, I'd like to go back on the topic of like what you were saying too. Cindy was like, your surrounding is who you are at that moment, and that's been a big change for me. And even like you said, the mental part, like even though I've been hanging around with certain people,
right,
that has elevated me and leveled me up. I know that I'm still not there yet, so I can't. I knew there was times when working with Johnny with real estate and stuff, I was like, man, I really like that, but personally, mentally, I was not there yet. So it's like, why would I jump into that knowing I'm not there? And I think that was the light that ticked in me. I'm like, oh, I'm glad I noticed this part.
Right.
And that was years ago. Now I'm more like here or now, and I'm like, I get it now. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot of it to turn.
You got to hold yourself accountable, and you got to be able to have self-realization,
right,
what's going on and how people perceive you.
Exactly. Well, back to what you were saying, J-Rock, about who you hung out with. I always say, or it's a Jim Rohn quote. Actually, it's like, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. Well, when I wasn't doing well, I was hanging out with people that weren't doing well also, because we could all relate to each other. And it's really hard to break away from that. Sometimes it is your family. Sometimes it's, the friends that you hang out with. And, if you want better for yourself, you've got to improve your surroundings. There's actually a study that I heard about. I was listening to I'm always listening to some podcast.
No, that's good.
Yeah. So there was a study where like even the physically sitting next to somebody that's doing better than you, like you'll do better in your business as well. And then of course the opposite is true too. So, I mean, to level up in life, and I'm not just talking about financially, I'm talking about in all the facets, like personal growth, emotional health, all of those things. Like you've got to surround yourself by people who are doing better. And I've had to let go of some relationships and friendships, and it stings a little bit, like I was very good friends with some people, but we have zero in common now. And we were just friends not that long ago.
As you get older and things and variables change, you kind of outgrow people.
You do. And
your priorities change.
They do. And I've had to be okay with, there's always, there's your family. They're always going to be your family. But then some friends are just seasonal, and they were a blessing to you while they were there. but it's okay to let them go, and I also always say when people show you who they are, you believe them, right? And so if I've been treated badly or, I don't know, I don't get upset about it anymore. I just take them from here and I put them where they belong. I don't I don't take it personally anymore. Right. So when you remove, there is a lot of emotions you can put, like, I can't believe they treated me that way. Oh my gosh. And you look inward. A lot of times it has to do with what's going on with them and not so much you. And there's so much power in that because you can sit laying awake at night trying to think, what did I do? What could I have done differently? And it's just like, it's usually, sometimes it is you, but usually not you. And it's them. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And thinking about what you were saying, it drains you. Having to worry about what these people, negative or whatever, think about you. It's going to drain you. And you just got to move on. I'm too old and I'm too seasoned. That's the word.
Yeah.
In my life where I can't be sitting there worrying about who likes me, who doesn't like me.
Right.
Of course, we all, I mean, as humans, we want to be liked.
Right.
But if I'm not that person for somebody, I can't lose any sleep. I just got to keep pushing forward and get those that want to be on my team and go along for the ride. I need to put them in my truck and let's go. We'll go down the path together.
That's so interesting, Johnny. Like, I don't know if it came with age, like me turning 40, or I really don't know when it happened, whether it was, going to the Tony Robbins things or, my personal growth, like when it happened. But that shift was huge. Like, I literally was like, I hope people like me. I hope, I wish, and I tried to make them like me. But and now it's so freeing because I don't care.
It's mental freedom. When we talked about it on the show before, having that mental freedom is so crucial in life. And I think it's helped me keep the wrinkles down. It's helped me keep the gray hair down because when you stress out, you start looking old. Just like smoking.
Yeah.
Nothing affects you more than smoking and food, right? Those are two big things. And when you have the freedom of just, you know what, I'm going to do what I want and not have to worry about people, you're going to be a lot better for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it does imprison you. It's the fear of like, what will they think? I don't have that. You don't have that. And so like, the world is ours to take on. It's such a freeing thing. And I don't know. Again, I don't know if it came with age. I wish I knew this in my 20s, but I literally was dictated by what other people thought. The people that don't pay my bills, don't live with me, don't live in my shoes. I worried about what they thought. How crazy is that? It's ludicrous when you think about it.
I think it kind of comes with confidence in the people you surround yourself with. Yeah. When you see other people, other successful people at the table, and they're over here talking about success and going on vacations and doing all these different things, you're like, what am I worried about the small stuff for? Why am I worried about who thinks I'm this or who thinks I'm that? I'm worried about, I got my eyes on the prize over here. And it's, whatever that goal is, that's what changes. And that's what the priorities have changed in my life. Just people I surround myself with.
Exactly.
So
conversations are different.
Yeah.
When you're at the bigger tables, right? With the big thinkers.
Yeah. And I encourage everybody out there, no matter how small you might think you are, or how big you might think you are, there's always somebody that can create opportunities. And I tell people, don't chase money, chase great relationships.
Absolutely.
When you chase great relationships, opportunities will begin to grow for you. And that having that mindset, that strong, positive mindset, it goes eons and eons, and it's gonna carry on into your children and their children, and it's gonna create that legacy for you.
Absolutely. And that's really my overall goal, is to create a legacy for my kids. I've talked about Dylan. I mean, I kind of don't worry about that guy. He's going to land on his feet, but definitely working with my other sons to chase after what they really want in life. I've had some really in-depth conversations with my other two adult sons, and I'm like, let's come up with a plan, mijo. Like, let's not talk about it, let's be about it.
Right.
How can I help with that? And so I think, I'm not, obviously I'm not a man, and I think there's, men sometimes are held to a higher standard, and there's more pressure to perform and do and achieve. And so I really want to be that backbone for my children and, make sure that they're successful and whatever it is they need, I want to be there for them. And I'm like the proudest mom ever. I love my kids they're my driving force. They're my why. You have to have a profound reason that drives you to do great things.
Right.
And you have to you have to know what that is. And that's what pushes you forward. And they're my why. My husband and I love him. He's my biggest supporter. I honestly, my business was built on a lot of late nights, a lot of calls on the weekends and doing all the things. And he's just been my backbone. Okay, babe, I got it. I got Thomas. I got, that's such a blessing. And so I'm the more visible one out there, but I'm here because of my husband. And I'm very blessed in that regard.
You're definitely active and visible, and so is your husband. We've been to many events, and we see him there.
Yeah,
he's behind the scenes, but he's there watching, and he's so proud of you as well. And without that dynamic of having a support system, it kind of restrains you a little bit. And there's some people that don't have that support, and it handcuffs them, and it kind of stymies them a little bit, where they don't have that confidence to go out, where they're having to look over their shoulder like, oh man, my husband don't want to do this and that. It just makes it so, I said it earlier, mental freedom, having that. Like I'm blessed to have that as well, where I already know
dynamic duo, man.
Dynamic duo, where
She's
we
got
can
your
go
back.
out. Yep. And there's no consequences if I go out and do this event or whatever. Oh, you're not spending enough time with me. My wife and I spend a lot of time together.
Yeah.
We might be in the Guinness Book of World Records for most time spent together.
I like I said, I love my husband, but I cannot work with him.
Yes.
We worked together for about a month and a half when I was in between jobs, and I was like, I'm going to go get another job. We cannot work together, but at the same time, we do work together because he supports me fully. And I don't know if you know this. So my husband is deaf. He's hearing impaired. He could be sitting at home collecting Social Security disability, which, again, no disrespect to anybody that does collect that if it's necessary. But he doesn't have to work. But he's the hardest worker I know, because he's like, no, I'm not going to sit home and collect a paycheck. I'm going to go. And so he's built this company. I mean, he works so hard. I wish I took in a picture of him last night. I mean, he was covered in dirt head to toe. And I'm like, what in the world? And he's like, I've been under the house for 4 hours. And I'm like, holy shit. And
he's a wolf.
Like, I know. And then he's like, but I made $2,500 just today. And I'm like, you go, babe. You go with your bad self. I love that. So yes, my husband's hearing impaired. Thomas is hearing impaired. And Andrew, my oldest, slight hearing impairment. But again, we don't lead with that. It's not like we're hearing impaired.
It's not a disability.
It's not. That's so interesting. Dylan says that. They're like, when we go to the airport, he has to go through like the disabled line, and he's like, I'm not disabled. He always says that. It's a mindset.
It just heightens your other senses, right?
Yeah. So my husband, very proud of him. He gets after it. Hardest worker I know. So yeah.
So Cindy, what do you fear?
Oh man. That caught me off guard.
Is that a good question?
Yeah, it is a good question. What do I fear? Oh my gosh. I wish I had, there's so many things. My biggest obstacle is myself. I will get in my head and just talk myself out of things. It's really incredible. I'm all talking like I have it figured out. But when I say this stuff, I have to tell it to myself. Like, I got on this tangent that, recently, where I was just in a really negative mindset for the past couple of days. And I was bitching and complaining to everybody that would listen. And it was me. I got in my own way. And really, when you take a step back and you take the emotion out of a situation, you figure out, you know the answers to your situation. So I guess my fear is staying stagnant, not growing, not becoming more, not being better, not leaving a legacy for my kids.
Very interesting. Those are very, very fearful things. Not, like you said, being irrelevant, not being able to contribute and provide value. That is, you feel that is disability to me. That's mental disability where you can't create, you can't innovate, you can't do these things.
So many people live like that on a
Yes.
daily. Like,
Yes.
it comes
But it's by
natural.
choice sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. Dylan and I have these conversations. It's like, that's how people
Mhm.
normally think. And we're all about, like, we have that entrepreneurial mindset where we're just like, okay, what's next? Let's grow.
Mhm.
What's the next project? What are we doing? I text him and I'll be like, what's on the GSD list, the get shit done
Mhm.
list? Every day we get
Mhm.
shit done. And so we just kind of go back and forth. We hold each other accountable. He's my most, a good accountability partner for myself and vice versa. We always got something in the works
Yeah.
for sure.
Cindy, I love it. This is a great conversation, and we're looking forward to having you back on some episodes down
I
the
can't
line.
wait to tell you what else has changed. I mean, right now we're flipping houses.
Flipping houses, real estate right now. How's the market? Is it booming? Is it not booming? I'll let you discuss that.
Let me tell you. Listen, Linda. Okay, so if people are just watching the news and that's what they're listening to, what do they report? Gloom and doom, recession, housing boom is over. Crash. That's the word.
Mhm.
I mean, keep listening to the news and your quality of life is going to go down. They're not reporting anything good.
Mhm.
So, really, yes, rates are higher, but historically, no. I mean, they're not as high as they have been at times. And so right now is the best time to start investing, start flipping, start doing the things. It's a good time to be in real estate, in my opinion. It's a little stagnant, but again, what we experienced from 2020 to 2022, or in that window where the housing boom happened, that was an anomaly, and people got real used to the low rates and the frenzy. And that was an anomaly. That wasn't real. We are in a corrected market, and it's still good time to be in real estate.
I still got a bunch of buyers ready to buy.
People still have to move.
People are still coming and going. People, I mean, transitioning out. People from California, New York,
Right.
Oregon, Illinois. They're all coming, and they want to come to Texas.
That's right. This is where it's at. I mean, people from California are leaving in droves,
Right,
to come to Texas because we don't have the state income tax. Property prices are still cheaper than those other states, and so they're still moving here. And so, yeah, don't believe everything you hear. We still have to help people buy and sell. And so,
don't believe the hype. I get a lot of buyers, and I have to sit there and explain to them in depth how you hit it on the head earlier. How the news is not always factual. How these articles, it's all hypothetical.
they just want to grab people
Right.
with the headline, so they're not going to be like, it's a good time to buy.
Yeah.
That doesn't grab you, but it's just if you hear market crash, oh, well, let me investigate this market crash.
Yeah. And we have buyers that are, they have the ability and the money to purchase, but they're like, no, interest rates are too high. I'm just going to rent. So we get that a lot. So I have to educate them and make sure that they're on the same page as me and understand why it's better to purchase today than it is to rent.
Absolutely. And then, too, it's somebody that, is selling, well, should I list my house now or not? And then if you just get a simple notepad out and, tally up their mortgage, their insurance and their taxes and, put that out there for 6 more months, like you could list now. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know what people are waiting for. They just need to go ahead and make it happen.
Yep.
There are buyers out there.
Yep. Absolutely. So, Cindy, while you are an incredible person, you are ordinary, but you're doing extraordinary things. You and your entire family, your entire circle, your company,
right.
Old Republic Title here in New Braunfels.
Yep.
Big shout out to those guys. Myself as a realtor, I use them religiously.
And we appreciate you.
And you guys do incredible work for myself and for my clients. It's all about the clients.
It is all about the clients.
And it's all about relationships. It's all about having that mental freedom, the mental aspect to say, you know what, screw it. I'm not going to hesitate. I'm going to jump in and I'm going to do the right thing, not only for myself, but for my kids and my legacy as well.
That's right.
So thank you for coming on the Social Plug podcast. It's been a pleasure having you.
Me. It's been fun.
Yeah, we'll continue our conversations and we'll continue to build relationships in this awesome community.
Let's do it.
So, Cindy, where can we find you? You said social media earlier, but you want to give out any places to
Sure.
find you?
Yeah, you can follow me. Oh gosh, on Instagram at CindyLou1001, or Wild About Real Estate. I have two Instagrams.
That's clever.
Or same thing, TikTok.
I love your TikTok.
Oh, thank you.
You got all kinds of videos.
You're
I love
my
that.
TikToks.
I am.
And then, of course, on Facebook, my whole name, Cindy Benya Wild, is the last name.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
you guys can find us, the Social Plug Podcast, on Social Plug Media. We are on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we got Snapchat, and we got all kinds of social media. We got stickers that we're going to be putting around the San Antonio community, as well as New Braunfels, and we got a whole bunch of content to release. We're going to be hosting a wrestling watch party. So by the time this episode is aired, we're probably going to have the episode or the watch party already done.
Yep.
So J Rock is going to be leading that charge because we know he's a wrestling head.
Heck yeah, man! It's gonna be fun.
Yep, it's going to be awesome. And so that's there at Double Shots. Double Shots is one of our sponsors, and they're here in New Braunfels. They got all kinds of TVs and all kinds of sports going on. They got some awesome lollipop wings. Yes,
Brian loves them.
Those
so
lollipop
we go for
wings. Are amazing. So you can also find us on socialplugmedia.net or at socialplugmedia.net. We got all our YouTube content. This is episode 14, so we got all episodes on there as well. So we got a lot of cool stuff. We got over 2,100 subscribers, Cindy.
Love it.
That's pretty cool. That's on our YouTube channel. Let's grow. So make sure you guys follow, subscribe, tell everybody about the Social Plug Podcast because we are on fire and we're going to blow up, Cindy.
I can't wait. Let's do it.
With that said, we are out. We are unplugged from the Social Plug Podcast, and we'll see you on episode 15.
Hey.
Bye.